Why the Spanish palace is panicking now?
Something is happening inside the Spanish royal palace right now. Something that the official press releases are not telling you. Something that has the people closest to King Felipe and Princess Leonor deeply unsettled. And if you follow the Spanish royal family closely, you may have already sensed it. A tension, a shift, a feeling that something behind those palace walls has changed. Today we are going to tell you exactly what that something is. We are going to pull back the curtain on the Spanish royal palace, and show you why, right now, in this very moment, the people inside are more anxious than they have been in years. Stay with me until the end. Because this story builds, and the final reason we reveal will shock you more than anything that comes before it. Opening square bracket. Welcome back to Royal Hearts United, the only channel that goes beyond the royal wave and the carefully staged photographs to tell you what is really happening inside Europe's most watched monarchy. If you are new here, subscribe right now. Because this is exactly the kind of deep, honest royal storytelling we bring you every single week. Now let us set the scene. On the surface everything looks fine inside the Spanish royal palace. King Felipe appears at state functions. Queen Letizia dazzles at official engagements. Princess Leonor continues her military training with the discipline of someone far beyond her years. The photos look perfect. The press releases are carefully worded. The smiles are practiced and precise. But underneath all of that carefully constructed perfection, something is wrong. And today we are going to tell you exactly what it is, in 5 parts that will completely change how you understand the Spanish monarchy right now. Opening square bracket. To understand why the palace is panicking, you first need to understand the ground beneath their feet. Because that ground is shaking. Spain is not the same country it was 20 years ago. The political landscape has shifted dramatically. And the monarchy, an institution that once felt permanent and untouchable, is now being questioned in ways that would have been unthinkable just a generation ago. Left-wing political parties in Spain have grown significantly in recent years. And many of them share one common position. They do not believe Spain needs a royal family. This is not a fringe opinion anymore. This is a mainstream political conversation happening in the Spanish parliament, in newspapers, on social media, and in living rooms across the country. Show images of Spanish parliament, political debates, Republican movement gatherings. Recent surveys conducted across Spain have revealed something that deeply worries royal advisors. Support for the monarchy among younger Spaniards, those between 18 and 35 years old, has been declining steadily. The generation that will shape Spain's future is the same generation that is least convinced the monarchy deserves one. And inside the palace, they know this. They see the polling numbers. They read the political commentary. They watch as the Republican movement in Spain gains not just voices, but votes. This is panic reason number 1. The palace is not just managing a PR problem. They are fighting for their very survival as an institution, and they are doing it in a political climate that grows more hostile with every passing year. Show images of Juan Carlos in exile, old newspaper headlines about royal scandals. But the political pressure is only one part of the story. Because before we can understand what is happening right now, we need to go back. Back to the wound that started everything. Back to King Juan Carlos. For decades Juan Carlos was the most beloved figure in Spanish public life. He was credited with guiding Spain through its transition from dictatorship to democracy. He was seen as the father of modern Spain. A hero, an institution unto himself. And then, everything collapsed. The corruption allegations, the secret accounts in foreign countries, the hunting trips to Botswana during Spain's deepest economic crisis, the relationship scandals, the complete disconnect from the struggles of ordinary Spanish people who were losing their jobs and their homes while their king lived in extraordinary luxury. Opening square bracket. In August 2021 Carlos left Spain. He did not announce a vacation. He did not give a press conference. He simply left. And the damage he left behind cannot be overstated. Because King Felipe, his own son, had to publicly distance himself from his father. Had to renounce his personal inheritance from Juan Carlos. Had to stand before the Spanish people and essentially say, "What my father did was wrong, and I am not him." That moment was extraordinary, a reigning king publicly separating himself from his own father to save the institution they both represent. It worked, to a degree. Philippe's personal approval ratings remained relatively stable. But the damage to the monarchy as an institution, to the idea of the Spanish royal family as something noble and trustworthy, that damage did not disappear. It went underground. It festered. And it is still there today, rising back to the surface every time a new detail about Juan Carlos emerges. And here is what makes the palace panic about this even now. Juan Carlos is still alive. He still gives interviews. He still makes public appearances from his exile in Abu Dhabi. Every time he speaks, every time he appears, the wounds reopen. And Felipe and Leonor have to stand there, smiling for the cameras, carrying the weight of sins they did not commit. That is panic reason number 2. The ghost of Juan Carlos never fully goes away. And the palace knows that one wrong move, one new revelation, could bring everything crashing down again. Show images of Leonor in military uniform, at official state functions, looking composed but young. Now we come to the part of this story that concerns Princess Leonor directly. And this is where the panic inside the palace becomes most personal. Leonor is 19 years old. She is completing her military training. She is being prepared, rapidly and deliberately, to one day take the throne. But here is the uncomfortable truth that royal advisors whisper behind closed doors. The timeline is accelerating, and nobody is entirely sure Leonor is ready, not because of any failing on her part, but because the situation outside the palace walls is moving faster than anyone anticipated. Think about what is being asked of this young woman right now. She is not just preparing to be a ceremonial figurehead who waves from balconies and cuts ribbons at openings. She is being prepared to be the face and the future of an institution that is under sustained political attack. An institution whose public trust was severely damaged by her own grandfather. An institution that needs to completely reinvent its relationship with the Spanish public, especially younger Spaniards, or risk becoming irrelevant. That is not a job for a 19-year-old. And yet, it is exactly the job that history has handed her. The palace is panicking because they know that Leonor's every move right now is being watched and judged with a severity that no young royal in Europe currently faces. One wrong interview, one photographed moment that looks out of touch, one public stumble that goes viral on social media. Any of those things, in today's media environment, could set back the monarchy's fragile recovery by years. And Leonor, poised, disciplined and remarkable as she is still a teenager navigating an impossible situation. That is panic reason number 3. The future of the Spanish monarchy rests on the shoulders of a 19-year-old, and everyone in the palace knows how much pressure that is. Here is something the royal communications team desperately does not want to talk about. The growing anger of ordinary Spanish people. Spain has faced significant economic pressures in recent years. The cost of living has risen sharply. Young Spaniards are finding it harder than ever to buy homes, build careers and create the kind of stable lives their parents had. And in that environment, the existence of a royal family living in palaces funded by public money becomes a very uncomfortable conversation. Show images of royal budget headlines, palace exterior, royal family at lavish state dinners. Every year the Spanish state allocates a budget to maintain the royal family. The exact figures are publicly available, and they are regularly used by Republican politicians and angry citizens as evidence that the monarchy is an expensive luxury Spain can no longer afford. The palace has tried to respond to this by being more transparent about royal finances than ever before. Felipe has worked hard to present an image of a modern, accountable monarchy that takes its public responsibilities seriously. But transparency only goes so far when people are struggling to pay their bills. There is a growing sentiment in parts of Spain that the money spent on the royal family, on the palaces, the staff, the state functions, the security, could be better used elsewhere. And that sentiment is getting louder. Not violent, not revolutionary, but persistent. And persistent anger, sustained over years, has a way of eventually changing institutions. The palace knows this. And it is one more reason why the people inside those walls are not sleeping easily right now. That is panic reason number 4. The economic argument against the monarchy is stronger than it has been in decades, and it is being made by people who are genuinely struggling, which makes it very hard to dismiss. Show images of social media, viral royal moments, Spanish royal family Instagram coverage. And now we come to the fifth reason. The one that perhaps surprises people the most. Social media. Specifically, the complete loss of control over the royal narrative. For most of the 20th century, the Spanish royal palace controlled its own story. They decided what images were released. They decided what interviews were given. They decided what the public knew, and what it didn't. That world no longer exists. Today, any private moment can become a global news story within hours. Any awkward interaction caught on a long lens camera can be dissected by millions of people online. Any facial expression, any gesture, any overheard conversation, can be clipped, shared, analyzed and turned into a narrative the palace never intended. And the Spanish royal family has had several of these moments in recent years. Moments where the carefully constructed image cracked, just slightly, and the world got a glimpse of the very human tensions and struggles behind the palace facade. Each of those moments creates a cycle that the palace communications team must manage. Rapid response. Carefully worded statements. Coordinated appearances designed to reset the narrative. It is exhausting. It is relentless. And it is a battle the palace is increasingly finding it difficult to win. Because for every carefully staged official photograph, there are 100 unofficial images circulating online telling a different story. And the channels covering those unofficial stories, channels like this one, are growing every single day. That is panic reason number 5. The palace has lost control of its own story. And in the age of social media, that loss of control is perhaps the most dangerous threat of all. Show final montage, palace exterior, Leonor looking determined, Felipe looking serious, Letizia looking composed. So now you understand why the Spanish palace is panicking right now. It is not one thing. It is never just one thing. It is the rising Republican movement threatening the monarchy's political future. It is the unhealed wounds left by Juan Carlos that refuse to stay buried. It is the impossible pressure being placed on a 19-year-old princess to single-handedly save an institution. It is the economic anger of ordinary Spanish people questioning whether a royal family is worth the cost. And it is the complete loss of narrative control in an age where anyone with a smartphone can shape the royal story. Slow music builds, final still of the royal palace of Madrid at night. The Spanish royal family is not finished. Let me be clear about that. Felipe is a serious and dedicated king. Letizia is a formidable queen consort. And Princess Leonor, perhaps more than anyone, represents something genuinely hopeful about the future of this institution. But hope alone does not save a monarchy. What saves it is adaptation, transparency, connection with ordinary people, and the wisdom to change before change is forced upon you. Whether the Spanish royal palace has that wisdom, whether they can move fast enough and honestly enough to rebuild the trust they need. That is the question that will define the next decade of Spanish royal history. And we will be here, watching, and telling you everything. If this video opened your eyes to what is really happening inside the Spanish royal palace, please hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps this story reach more people who deserve to hear it. Subscribe to Royal Hearts United if you are not already part of our community. We go deeper than any other royal channel, every single week, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. And tell me in the comments, do you think the Spanish monarchy will survive the next 10 years? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop your answer below. I will see you in the next one.